Hey guys, I'm back for another video. Today we're going to be cutting some box joint jigs for a outfeed stand, or not outfeed stand, a rolling cart for my thickness sander and thickness planer. That particular tool is just, there's no permanent home ability for them, so I'm going to put them on a flip top rolling cart. And for the frame, I'm going to be using 2x3s milled from my own lumber, and I'm going to box joint the corners together for the big frame for strength. This is a process very similar to what Matthias Wendell does for his a lot of his rolling stands and carts. So I figure it would be a good solution to make the sides of the flip top where I'm using lumber and not plywood. I'm using the John Heist Ultimate Box Joint Jig. This was part of the table saw purchase, as mentioned in a previous video, so I didn't build this jig. It came with my table saw. The previous owner has it set up for 1/4-inch box joints, using the Freud dado stack and the way the threaded rod is set up. So I'm just going to go by the same settings he used. And here we go. It's going to get a bit noisy with the dust collection on the table saw. Alright guys, so I've only used this jig once before, and that was just to try out that spacing. I was confident anyway, as my friend had reported it to be quite usable. So and yeah, it's a extremely precise fit. It's not too thick, it's not too tight so that you can't get the joints together, but it's not so loose that glue won't work. So I've got 4 sides to cut. I got 4 pieces to cut that are 31.5 inches long, and they are cut in that orientation I just showed you. So everything's marked with an X to show which side faces the fence. So I gotta do that 4 more times. Anybody familiar with John Heist and the Ultimate Box Joint Jig probably knows that you don't have to hit it to get it to advance the way I was, but I broke the tip off the advance lever. Plus, it's very sticky, and I'm not sure if that's just the varnish used. Like I said, I've never had a reason to even use this jig, so I'm not familiar with it at all. So I figured this was a good project to use it on. So I'll cut these ones, the other side of this one. Then I'll cut the other 2 pieces, which are right next to the table, right next to the sled. Then I'm gonna get a scrap piece into a test cut, because what I want to do is offset my index by half a count, because he's marked. Derek, the previous owner, has marked this with red paint on which intervals to go on. And I think if I go 1 offset, I can get the alignment right on the other piece. So otherwise I could just flip it end for end and it's fine. But we'll give it a try and see. And if it works out the way I think it's going to work out, then that'll save me a bit of alignment issues. So here we go. Alright guys, as you've seen, I had a bit of problems with the box joint jig sliding, and I was kind of taking my whole table saw for a ride here. The guides on the bottom are UHMW plastic, which is really good for sliding, but the box joint jig itself is made out of plywood, or some of it's plywood, some of it's regular wood. So I think what the problem is not that this was binding for the sake of binding, it was the whole thing is moving side to side and pushing too much pressure on it. Because it slides like a dream now that I've switched it out to one runner. And there's no like twist problem, so I don't think that's going to be an issue. So this is one of my scrap pieces. I'm going to clamp it in the jig. And I'm just going to do a test cut. Again, I want to see if offsetting the rows by one increment, by one half increment, will allow me to just cut without flip. So that is kind of one issue I have with this box joint jig, is just the way it's set up for doing joints like this. It's just not intuitive, I find, sometimes with the getting everything in place. So I'm going to try a half a step increment. And then we'll see if that fixes my problem. Alright guys, so you can see the spacing of the teeth is the same. I just indexed one half of spacing. I'm just going to try that out, just see how it lines up. And I mean, if it made no real difference, then I can just go back. I can just put them in and keep going the way I was going. Alright, so we've got a tiny bit of a step difference, but I think it's still better than the step difference of just flipping the board. But we'll try just flipping the board and see what it does. So for this particular case, it may not have mattered. So it's less. It is less. So we'll go with that method. But as you can see in the video, the box joint jig moved much better, much more stable across the table saw. I wasn't sliding my table saw all across the floor to make the cuts. So I'm just putting an X on the inbound side just so I know which side to keep it against the fence and when I'm assembling it. So as you can see, guys, didn't take long at all to cut those joints out. The biggest reason I did not like using that was because of the shifting on the table, but that's solved, so you might see that in future projects. I'm going to link to John Heiss's video on his Ultimate Box Joint Jig. It's an older project. I think he's since gone to a different style. So now we're just going to glue up my frames. I mean, this is just shop furniture I'm building, so I'm not stressing looks or durability or anything like that. I just want something that's going to be functional and strong. And from watching Matthias Wendel's videos on his box joint jig and building some of his projects, I know that for what I want, this is the best joint. Put some plastic down on the table saw so I don't get any glue squeeze out. All right, guys, so that went about as well as could be expected. Um, my shop's still not really set up for big projects, but the next one on the list after this is the outfeed assembly table going on the table saw. So once that's set up, I can do big projects like this. But for now, I got to get other projects done. So hope you find this video informative. Like I said, I'll link to John Heiss's video about the box joint jig, and catch you in the next one. Like, comment, subscribe, guys. You know the drill.